What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dear Modern Stylist, the podcast. I created this podcast in hopes of creating a space where clients and stylists can come together and talk about pricing, professionalism, and how we present ourselves in the industry. Today's episode is going to be really different and a little bit special to me because we are going to be touching on entrepreneurship, but I'm going to be talking a lot today about my family dynamic, and it's really weird for me, guys, because I don't talk a lot about myself in general. But today you guys will get to see a different side of me on the podcast. I have the most important guests in my life that I could have. First, we have my father, who is a carpenter, been working for Chevron for 50 years, handyman, great dad, husband, brother, all of that great stuff. Bank of America for me. Mario. Then we also have my beautiful mother. She is a paparazzi consultant. She is a insurance agent turned stripper. And I'm literally kidding. She's a great mother, friend to literally everybody that she comes across with, cheerleading coach, entrepreneur. We have Mrs. Kelly. Ooh, let me get it right. Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys here today. I know y'all like, what are we supposed to expect?
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
So y'all, my mom says that she is the one who taught me how to braid, but I don't know how true that is.
What?
Is it really true? I feel like in my head, I can't ever remember a time where you really sat down and was like, this is how you do it. I felt like I just...
Okay, so when I would do your hair, you would sit down with your doll, and you would be doing your doll's hair, and I would be doing your hair. And as you guys learn how to play with your dolls, I taught you how to braid. Now, did you take your braiding to another level? Absolutely. But you learned the braiding technique from me.
Okay.
And then as you watched me do certain hairstyles, you said, I can do that. I can do that. Just like any other smarty pants kid. Yes, smarty pants. And then you guys started to pick up on some of the styles that I would do. Because if you remember, every Saturday morning at 6 a.m., that was the time that the appointment started. And people came all day long, Saturday, and all day long on Sunday. And so that's how you guys began to learn the skill. Now, what you did after that is a whole totally different thing because you practice on each other. So
when I was like 11, y'all, I started wanting to do my own hair because my mama hurt. But
that is not true.
You hurt me. I remember crying. Dad, was I not crying and screaming?
No. I was crying and screaming.
Exactly.
No. She was not crying and screaming.
I was crying and screaming. Okay. I don't know if I was tender-headed or if I just didn't want to get it done. But also, my mom used to put these two buns in my head with curls. Wait.
Exactly. Exactly.
But the hairstyle was cute. Back before it was cute.
Exactly the hairstyle she would put. It's the same hairstyle you're wearing today. The exact.
Y'all, she would put two sock buns in my head with curls hanging down.
It's the exact same hairstyle.
No, but Mom.
Bree, you even have the curlies right here on the side. You had a fit with that. You even have the curlies on the side.
I was trying to be cute in front of the boys with one ponytail, and she wasn't having it. She wasn't going for it. So I started doing my own hair.
I must post a picture of you wearing that same hairstyle.
Little did I know I was looking crazy. Y'all used to wear bandanas. I used to do my own braids.
Ghetto.
I was looking a mess. And she used to tell me, you look a mess. But I felt real cute. I was like trying to tap into my Aaliyah. You know who Aaliyah is? The singer? She would do the bandana thing.
Aaliyah. You're not Aaliyah.
I was trying to tap into that. So, I guess I can give my mom credit for me learning how to braid. My dad, I'll give him credit for pricing now because back in the day, y'all, back when I used to do hair in high school and I would charge like $40 for the guys, right? And my dad would be like, $40, that's it? He wanted me to charge like more. He was like, you need to be getting your money. What is that? What is that? How much do you think I should have been charging? Because this was back in the 2000s.
Back in the 2000s, I still believe that you should have been charging at least $60, $70. Because if you look at men, when they get their hair cut, $25, $30, 30 minutes, and you're spending an hour, hour and a half, and you're doing something that's specialized.
Yeah.
And I felt that you were undercharging. Raise the prices.
Even when I would do females' hair, he'd be like, how much you get for that, Bree? And I'd be like, $140. Now, at the time, I was in high school, $120, $140. I don't even know if I was charging that. Maybe like $80. And he would be like, what?
But that's because he knew my pricing, because he did that with me with my pricing as well. So he had an understanding of what you could get. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who kept encouraging me, especially after spending all day doing hair, to charge more.
Yeah.
So he's always been a good gauge of finance. You already know that.
Were you expensive back in the day?
I did start to get expensive. You have to remember, I was a hybrid person. I did French rolls, braids, all those types of things. So weaves. Mm-hmm. And mostly my most expensive thing at that point was I had some clients that I went to them and did the service. And so that for those clients, I charged more. Mm-hmm. Some of these clients, their husbands didn't even know they were wearing weaves. They had no idea. I don't know how they didn't feel no track up in the head, but that's okay. They didn't know. So
they wasn't getting busy.
So maybe they did, but they couldn't touch their hair. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, for some people, that was, a service that cost more. But for the braids, no. He always said I didn't charge enough.
Dad, did there used to be hair all over the house?
Yes, there would be hair all over the house.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
You had it all over the house.
Honey, I was really good about cleaning up
Have you ever
the
went to the bathroom and pulled a piece of hair out of your butt crack?
No, it wasn't that. No.
That be happening in the drain.
No.
Well, that's funny because you hair.
No, because my hair was, after every service, I would sweep up. Hair is going to be there if you're doing hair in your home. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some somewhere because it's going to fly and you're not going to be able to see it. But excessive hair is something different. You just throw it down and keep going. I had a bag. I would sweep up in between, right?
I like to create a pile and then clean it up after.
Well, I clean up in the midst of.
Yeah, I don't like that. She even does that when she cooks, y'all. She cleans as she goes. I like to make a mess and clean up everything
that's too
after
much.
I eat.
That's too dirty.
I like to clean it up 3 days later.
No.
Especially when I have a mom for a maid.
No, I'm not your maid. I'm not your maid.
I'm kidding. Okay, so like I said, I really don't ever talk about my story, my journey into doing hair. I really don't talk about myself a lot just because, like, I don't know. I'm just not that type of person. But I was thinking about, like, why I never really shared my, like, story. And I always felt like I don't really have a story to tell, right? Let me just break this down. So most of the time, like, when you hear from successful people and they tell their stories, it's always like, oh, I was, like, homeless, or, like, I came from the foster care system. I feel like sometimes it's, like, a dramatic story about how they, like, came to where they were. Not dramatic, like, fake, but, like, just where you're like, damn, you really started from the bottom. And for me, I felt like I had pretty much a privileged life. Like, I grew up in private school. Both my parents are married. They're still married to this day. I mean, I grew up with all my siblings in one house. We lived in the same house. Like, I was like, I don't know if I really have a story to tell. But as I got older, I realized, like, no, that's my story. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, some people do come from struggle and some people don't. And it doesn't mean that I haven't worked hard for the things that I have. It's just like, this is my story. This is how I came up. So from your perspective, because I feel like from a very young age, I realized that, like, I was a lot different from my peers. Even just having my parents who were together, like I said, we live in the same house with all my siblings, same mom and dad for all the siblings. How important was it for you guys to, like, give that life to your kids or your children? And how important was that, and how hard was that?
I came from a household of 5. My mother and father married for over 50 years. So it was important for me to set that foundation for my family. And I wanted to make sure that I was the provider, go to work, take care of the finances. And so it was extremely important for me.
And for me, for those of you who know a little bit about me, having grown up with very professional parents who were socially engaged, because my mom was a radio announcer and my father was, into politics, it put me in a position where I grew up in a 2-parent household. And having my parents divorced at such a young age made me have the desire to want to have my family intact. And I grew up with siblings that have different fathers. And so the blended family idea, it worked for me in many ways because, as you know, you grew up, my parents were still, even though they were with other people, they were still together and around and coexisting. But I think for me, the most important thing for me was to have a home where it was a home where I can have my kids under one roof with the same parents who stayed together, and they didn't see some of the other facets of relationships that kids are exposed to. No fighting, no guns, no drugs, no alcohol problems, none of that. And I think we were able to raise you guys in a community that was at some times questionable, you know, because our city was one of those cities that had its ups and downs. But we raised you guys outside of that. So you never were in a hood. I was never raised in a hood. If I lived in an apartment, I lived in the penthouse as a kid. I never had any of those types of adverse situations, so I know nothing about that. So I didn't want you guys to have that. So I would say that was my motivation. And then I just found this awesome guy over here.
Yeah, so how did y'all meet? Because I don't know if this is clear or not, but you were working at a bank, right? And he was going to the bank. You were checking his bank account, noticed that he had a lot of money. No. And then somehow he was trying to get with you, but you didn't want to get with him. And then you started to see his bank account and his car, and then you started packing him lunches, right?
No, that's not what happened, boo.
Oh, no.
See, you know, this is the part of the podcast where the host gets popped because I'm the mother. No, that is not what happened. What had happened was, can I say what had happened?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So he was.
What is it, a scandal?
Yes, it's a scandal. He was actually coming to the bank, and I was very homely looking. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I had clothes all the way up to my neck and long skirts. I wasn't wearing revealing clothing, even though I had the bod of the year. I wasn't displaying that. Not at work. Let's just say it that way. And the other women were. They had cleavage showing. They had, you know, Brooklyn out. They had all kinds of things going on. So he was calling for different people at the bank. And there was this one person in particular who was my friend, and her name was Trina. And she would say, tell him I'm not here. So when he would call, I would say, Trina ain't here. But Trina would be standing right there.
Wait, Trina was trying to curve my daddy?
She was trying to curb him. But the bottom line is, God works in mysterious ways, because one day he saw me broke down with my car, and I was trying to get it started, and he was driving, and yes, he was in his...
Were you bent over checking the tire? I'm just asking. I need details.
I don't know. You have to ask him. You can say, well, I don't know what I was.
Right. No, I was driving down the street in my Corvette, convertible Corvette, 1969, and I'm rolling down the street. And as I'm driving, you know, I'm looking from behind. I said, "Whoo, look at this lady here." I said, "Man." So as I drive by, I'm looking at her, and I said, "Oh, that's the lady at the bank." I put that Corvette in reverse.
No, you skid. Tell the truth. You skid.
Backed up and said, "Excuse me, don't I know you from the bank?" And she looked at me, yes. I said, "Can I give you a ride?" Now, keep in mind, this is a beautiful 1969 Corvette convertible.
Now, this is the gold digger part.
Said,
what I say?
And she said, "No, thank you."
No, thank you,
And I'm thinking to myself, most of the time, you see a female, I'm in a nice car, you know, I'm looking good now. And they're going to say, "Sure." She said, "No, thank you." So I'm thinking, okay, I'll catch her next time. I took off. So when I went to the bank, next time, might have been a week or two, I'm waiting on her. People would be behind me saying, "Go ahead, sir." I said, No, you go ahead, because I'm waiting on this teller. And then finally, when she was available, I went up to her and I said, "Yeah, I remember you from the other day." And I had a business card. I'm a businessman. I whipped out
you're a con artist.
I whipped out my business card and told her, "If you ever need any mechanical work, give me a call."
Now I could fix your car.
Yes, exactly.
So that's how we met.
Exactly. And that's a true story.
Yeah, true story.
So from then you was on him?
Well, not exactly, because of the age difference. I was a little cautious. And so Auntie Kim and I went bowling with him, and
oh, you did. You pulled the double date situation.
Exactly.
Yes, he did
It's
that.
a little childish, but
It's kind of childish. Yeah.
I mean, but I was young.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving signs of things for me that were indicative of maybe drug dealer or, something. I didn't know what
he
was
did. Just super successful young
No,
type,
but I
or
mean,
what?
you got a young guy. I mean, he didn't look his age. He looked like a very young man. He's driving in this fancy car, and he's, now all of a sudden he's going through all these women at the bank. Now all of a sudden he's pulling up on me. I don't know what he is, a sex trafficker. I don't know what he is. But you're not getting ready to get me. So I was just really hard like that.
Honestly, yeah, pulling up on me when I'm on the side of the road and asking for a ride, that is a little bit of a red flag. But I know you, so it's I know where it comes from, but it is I'm not getting in the car with you, but nice car though, sir, but no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then keep in mind too, back in those days, they didn't have social media like they have now.
That's true.
There's no getting on your phone and looking at different sites and meeting different people. You have to actually approach a woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personally, physically. You can't be going to a site and trying to
let me send a message.
Yeah. Let me text you. So times have changed now. It's a little different.
Yeah, that is really true.
But I'm so thankful that he did check me out, and I'm so thankful that God brought us together the way he did, because I think that union for us was the beginning of the glue in our relationship, because I was aware of how he was handling himself before we got together. And he was, I think, a little bit shocked that I wasn't responsive, because all the other women were responsive because they wanted to be wined and dined by some guy and didn't take me out and do this and that. I didn't club. I didn't do any of those things. And I think that part of me was what he was looking for. And I think it really became a good match, but we didn't know that. And with the age gap, you have to learn that. But I think my level of maturity, I think that.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who are the age gap, it's 11 years, right?
It's 11 years.
But she was well of age. How old were you when you met him? 19?
18.
Yeah, 18. And so yeah, let's get into stability a little bit, because I feel like everything about you guys' lives is just stable, family, career wise, everything. So my dad still is working for Chevron, but has been at Chevron for how many years has it been?
47 years.
47 years, a long time. So just a little bit about me. I went to college, came home from college. I didn't finish. I came home a little bit early, and I was lucky enough to steal a job at the same company as my dad, same side department, but not the same building. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain those jobs, but I was working there for about 4 years, and I ended up getting laid off. And I was really bothered by it, because I know I wasn't a perfect employee. I was wild in my 20s. So, I was definitely the fun girl of the group. My coworkers were a lot older, 40s, 50s, had been established. And I had been late before. I wasn't a perfect employee, but work ethic and I'm very intelligent, and my work ethic was on point. So I ended up getting laid off, and they tried to make it a performance thing. And I think that's what bothered me, because it's I know, and Dad, even I was one of the hardest working people on that team.
Absolutely.
On that team. So another side of that is just I was super disappointed in myself, because I worked with my dad, and obviously, my parents are very successful. My goal is to make you guys proud. You know what I mean? So Dad, for you, I remember I told my dad I was so sad that day. I actually ended up crying, but more so I was just hurt by the way that it played out. And I also didn't want my dad to think I was just basically fucking off, at the job. Because I wasn't. I really wasn't. So for you, I remember my dad telling me oh, you can apply to different oil companies, because I did have a lot of credentials. I was hazmat certified. I had some things under my belt. So my dad was telling me, apply to different oil companies. Let's just see what you can get and do. But I eventually told him, Dad, I think I'm going to try to do YouTube. I think I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to braid hair, and I'm going to take this route, and I'm going to try it out for a year. What was going through your head when I said that? Because at this time, guys, this was during the pandemic, maybe like 20.
No, this is before.
No, this is before. This is like 2016. Yeah,
Yes.
way before the pandemic, actually. But
Yeah.
what was your thought when I told you that? Because I know somebody who's like been at a stable job for some time, and now I'm telling you I'm not going back into like the oil industry to do YouTube. What was your thought process on that?
Well, for me, it was an adjustment. It was a setback in terms of, I said to myself, okay, is this something that I want you to be happy? That's the first thing. And when you were working there, you were a hard worker. You're doing all the work, and we talked about that. You're outperforming all of them in there because I would go in there and I see you working. You were bubbly, hello, how you doing? But the passion wasn't there.
Yeah.
You have to follow your dreams. Follow your passions. Life is short. People don't realize it. They think, oh, I got a whole lifetime to do what I want to do. But in reality, you turn around and life is just passing you by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. And I can see in you that you had this talent, this gift. And I said, pursue that. I'm going to back you up. I'm going to support you. And I'm very proud of you. And I think that you made the right decision. But at first, I'll be honest, it kind of hurt me a little bit, because, here's a company that's been loyal to me for all these years. They've paid the bills. They've treated me good. They're still treating me good. So when you said, okay, I'm leaving the company, I'm going to go down this different path, I thought to myself, oh, okay, but I want you to spread your wings, fly, and do the best that you can be. Just be the best in whatever you do. And you're doing that right now, so I'm very proud of you.
What did you think, Mom? Thank you.
Well, initially, I didn't really have an understanding of social media. None whatsoever. I mean, I had 2 Facebook friends. So I didn't understand that part of it. From the braiding aspect, I knew you were a great braider, and I know because I braided and because, I was interested in cosmetology, I knew that money was there.
Yeah.
And I knew that instantly you could make money doing hair, period, hands down. No question about that. And so I wasn't so much concerned about the making money part as I was if you were just going to braid and not have a traceable income. I was worried about that because you can't build credit and net worth and those types of things without a traceable income. You need some, W-2s, W-9s, whatever you're going to get.
Yeah.
You need some type of a trackable income. And so that was the part that I wasn't certain about with social media. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I gave you my full support because I thought you were really talented. And what I was really kind of like, I don't know, surprised about was the fact that you were researching like different styles and different techniques. And so I was like, yeah, this is a passion. So I was okay with that. Actually, I felt kind of good because I was like, she's following in my footsteps. So,
I know. I wish I would have like pursued the cosmetology field earlier, but I feel like timing is everything. Yeah. Like everything. Because I was even telling my dad, like, I would have never quit my job at Chevron. Like, I would have still been there to this day. Right. Because it's like, it's hard to give up a steady income. Like every 2 weeks you're making, whatever you're making. It's hard to leave that on a hope and a dream. And I was doing hair on the side, but I think because it wasn't like an actual business thing for me, I wasn't really making enough money for me to be like, oh, I could live off this. Now, if I knew what I knew now, I would have been in hair school after college. But, maturing and going through life.
You may not have been because look, I went to cosmetology school and I didn't complete cosmetology school because I wasn't interested in cosmetology. I was interested in braiding. And at that time, they gave you 0 braiding technique. And so I can go in the salon and wash and condition under someone else's license.
Yeah.
And then braid. So I wash, condition under their license, send them to the back to me, I braid them up. So I had spots in salons braiding. So that wasn't ever an issue for me. But to see you like do what you did with it, I was in the beginning, I was like, wow, and just to watch you say, oh, I have this many followers, now I have this many followers. I didn't still understand the concept of it. until you got, like you were like 40,000. I was like, 40,000 people.
Yeah, no, it started getting, y'all, I started growing really fast. Yeah. I remember I decided I wanted to go to hair school. I took my dad with me. He actually went up there with me to Laney, and he went with me to Paul Mitchell. And I remember going to Laney. It was kind of like, it wasn't all put together. We had to walk here, walk there, do this. It was unorganized. And I was telling my dad, because Laney, let's say, was like 8,000. Paul Mitchell was like 24 to 26. And I was telling my dad, I'm like, I'm not feeling it here, Dad. He's like, nah, this is where it's at. Did you go to Laney, Dad?
Yes, I went to Laney.
I went to Laney, and I graduated from Laney. So, there was a spot in my heart for Laney College, and I was kind of hoping that you would say, I want to go to Laney because, follow your daddy's footsteps. Yeah. But then also, I respect your opinion because it's your life, and you know more about this than I do. So you said, nah, Dad, this is ghetto. This is not, they're unorganized. We went into the classrooms. You couldn't even tell who the instructor was.
Wouldn't give us a tour. And then did you actually come with me to Paul Mitchell too?
Yes, he did.
Because he came and he was like, oh, this is a different step. Little did I know. It's damn near the same. But no, yeah, there was a clear difference. Very supportive. But
presentation, though.
Yeah, presentation is everything. I feel like for me to want to pay an extra, what is it, $14,000? Like, yeah, you got to be presenting something right. But yeah, it got to a point, like, I wanted to prove to my parents so bad that there was money in social media, because I was even telling my dad, there's like a famous YouTube couple at the time, Damien and Bianca, and they did a video. And they were saying they made $40,000 a month off of YouTube. And I was thinking in my head, like, Dad, how I always tell you, shit don't sound right, it ain't right.
Yeah.
Right. But then, y'all, I started making money on YouTube. I would send my dad screenshots of my bank account. He's like, you don't got to keep sending it to me. I believe you.
I believe you.
I was sending him screenshots of my YouTube paycheck. I made this. And he was like, shit, you making
more than me. I said, shit, dude, goddamn, let me get into this.
He was like, what can I do on YouTube?
And then you told me, you said, Dad, you need to do videos of mechanic work. Yes. Like when you're changing starters, changing batteries, you need to get videos done and put it out on YouTube. Get your followers. I said, well, I was kind of happy with what I was doing, but when I started seeing those screenshots, I said, shit, I got to do this.
No, and that was a good feeling for me, because, like, I know when it comes to my dad, money talks. And so I was like, oh, yeah, once you see this, you ain't even finna be thinking about Chevron. And it was a good feeling for me, because I felt like that was a big setback for me. I've never been laid off, fired, anything from a job. Like, every job I've been at, I've only excelled, because it's like I have a really good work ethic. Like, I'm not perfect, but I have a very strong work ethic. I'm on time. I'm there. So yeah, I knew, I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I could have ever, I'm making triple of what any of them were ever making. They're not even going to touch them numbers in a month. So that was like a really good feeling for me. So now, ironically, my mom does social media. She's retired, but she picked up Paparazzi, which is $5 jewelry. You want to talk about it?
Yes, okay. I certainly do. It is.
She loves paparazzi, y'all. If me and a piece of paparazzi jewelry was hanging off a cliff, she might step on my fingers. That's how much she loves paparazzi.
Absolutely, and
that's crazy.
And absolutely, it is fashion forward $5 jewelry. Look at me. I'm blinged out. Come on now. Where are you going? Look. Anyway, y'all know how to find me. Hit me up. You can go to her page. I'm right there. The link is there. What I'm saying is, I didn't understand the other work that went into social media, because I thought you just made a video, you braided hair, you posted a video, you get all these viewers. Now that I'm into social media, I understand, and I think a lot of other people don't still grasp that there are so many other facets of being a content creator, from algorithms, the way your content moves through the system, and when it does and when it doesn't, and what you have to do to get it moving, and getting followers, and gaining customers. And I do live videos. So, I mean, I've seen great success when I had a momentum going, and then you pull back sometimes. And then once you pull back, it's, you let go of that gas, and you put on the brakes. It's really hard to push forward back to that level of success in social media.
Yeah.
And so I learned part of that from you, and part of that, of course, from different people in the paparazzi family about social media.
Yeah.
But I had zero idea. I had 2 Facebook friends when I started. Here's the thing that I've learned from you that I never took advantage of earlier when I should have. Mm-hmm. You tried to put me onto Instagram.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of fought back a little bit because I was like, I tried it, and the comments were small. You remember that? Yeah. And I was like, Bree, I'm just not ready. And you were like, I'm pushing out your page. I'm posting your pictures. And I was scared.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it. But now I could kick myself because I should be on Instagram, TikTok, you know what I'm saying? YouTube, wherever, because that's the only way to gain the followers on all the different platforms. Mm-hmm. And it took a long time to understand that.
A lot of people don't know, but I guess when you go on like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, I feel like you do receive or see the content in different ways, and like people might react to it in different ways. Like I've seen videos posted on TikTok and people are like, yeah, beat that girl up. And then on Instagram, it's like, this is so unprofessional. Why would you hit somebody? So like, I don't think that people understand, like each app that you go into, you're kind of reaching a different demographic. You're reaching a different audience. And even though it's the same content, like you pick up different viewers, and you can, gain a platform in different ways on different ones. So that's something that I've always tried to do, but it's hard. It's very hard.
I've been consistent though. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I've been able to control my earnings from my social media platform. But I do have, an older demographic. I'm in the 40 to, 75 age range of people. And so my ability to grow with a platform like that, and most of them are on the East Coast because I can see the, demographics, that's hard. So, yeah, you have to expand to different platforms. And so that's the thing I look to you for. I was like, yeah, I'm coming. I already decided. I was trying to wait and see what was going to happen with TikTok. I'm coming for him. I'm going to come on TikTok.
Yeah,
So, and I'm going to get on Instagram.
I think you do a really good job. Even just being consistent. Like, y'all, my mom she don't care what's going on. She going live. She don't care if she on vacation, a new location. She don't care if she in an abandoned building. She going to have her 5 pieces of jewelry and she's going to be on live. And that's the hard part. A lot of people, like, I'm sure when you did your first live, you might have had like 1 or 2 people. And it's like, it's hard to keep going when you don't see the views.
Me and Jazz at your salon. Remember when you were in
that was
Pinot?
The very first one?
That's the very first one.
Oh, dang. I didn't know that.
That's the very first one.
Hey.
And I had 2 Facebook friends, and now I have like 4,700 Facebook friends and followers. I've met some really great people. Sometimes on social media, you feel like this person is your real friend, but you've never met them.
Yes.
And I am the type of person that I go out and I meet some of the people that I feel are my real friends, and now they are my real friends.
It's so funny because our cousin Mo, she used to go on TikTok Live, and she would always meet these people, and I'm like, you met them in real life? Like, that's heck of weird. And now I see it because like my YouTube subscribers, like I be texting some of them. Like we became friends. Recently, I actually lost a subscriber, Dean, who had been a subscriber for a really long time. He passed away, and like I was really boohoo crying. It's like I've never met Dean in real life. I've talked to him on Instagram and Facebook. He's always in my live videos, but it's like I feel like he was really my family. It's like, oh my God, like, and I was like, this is gonna be so weird because I'm reaching out to his family and they're probably gonna be like, who's this girl? Who's this random girl? But it's like, no, like we build relationships with these people from being in our lives and supporting us, and sometimes those people support you more than your own real friends and real family. So
absolutely, and him too, because when he does his lives, the amount of revenue that comes in from his live in the same amount of time is 3 times what I can do, just because of who he is. And they know who he is. They see him. They talk to him every day when I'm live. But I like the fact that you can just be yourself. Like you don't have to like pretend. But when you say your social media friends and family become closer than some of your real friends and family, I will tell you that your family is the last one to shop with you. Mm-hmm. I have very few family members that shop with me. They will go to beauty supply, wherever else they have to go to buy their jewelry. They don't call me up and say, hey, let me buy some jewelry from you because, and half the time you already know me. I ain't even getting ready to charge them. I'm about to give you a bag or whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Then you have some family that, takes advantage of your your kindness. You have some friends that they never go on your posts. They don't comment. They don't say anything. But you see them on social media on other people's page, but you don't see them supporting you. Mm-hmm. They don't come on and share your video or do those types of things.
Right.
But what you have to do, I think, as an entrepreneur is you have to understand that you are the driving force of your business.
Yeah.
And so if you want to succeed, you have to shun the naysayers. And you have to propel yourself based on what your ability is. And so that's why you see me being consistent. Consistency is the key to anything you do in life. I don't care what it is. It was consistency in our cheerleading business. It was consistency when I worked at State Farm. It was consistency for you at Chevron. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. This is why he and I can continue to be together and have things and continue to build because we're consistent.
Yeah. So that for you, because I don't think you've ever owned like your own business, right? Have you ever wanted to do entrepreneurship? Because I feel like my mom has been,
No.
My mom is pretty much an entrepreneur. She had a cheer business. She's now doing paparazzi. Like, I feel like you kind of got it in you, but she did also work in insurance for a while. State Farm, your friendly neighbor.
Absolutely.
So for you, Dad, I mean, I've known you to work at Chevron. I haven't known you to have like an established side business. Like you used to work on cars and stuff for people, but have you ever wanted to be an entrepreneur?
No, not really, because my father, he worked for a company, for all his life, and growing up watching him get up in the morning, go to work, bringing home the paychecks, I never had that desire, but I knew I had a lot of talent. The talent was there for me, but right out of high school, I really wanted to be a jockey.
What's that?
Ride horses.
What?
You
wanted to be a cowboy?
No, it's not a cowboy.
Not a cowboy. I wanted to be
a jockey.
Like the races, like when you go to the horse races.
Yeah, because I was a small person. I weighed like 97 pounds when I graduated from high school.
Oh, hell
and to be a jockey, to be a jockey, you got to weigh around 90 pounds.
Yeah,
so
dang.
And I was tall. I mean, I'm 5'7.5", but 90 pounds. So you can kind of imagine that. Mm-hmm. And so I went out to Golden Gate Fields. Mm-hmm. I inquired about being a jockey, but it was very, very difficult. So I said, okay, that's not going to work. Then I said, I want to build houses. I want to be a carpenter because I was good in high school with my hands in wood shop.
He's good with his hands.
No, Bookie.
Wood shop, I would get nothing but straight A's. I was so good in wood shop that the teacher said, I want you to be my teacher aide. I want you to teach the other kids.
Yes.
And I said, that was a little uncomfortable because I'm teaching kids my age. And so after I graduated from my high school, and even my teacher told me, he said, you got a lot of talent, Mario. This is the woodshop teacher. He said, you probably, I can see you working at Chevron. He said that. I said, really? And so I went to Laney College, did 2 years, got my AA degree, took up carpentry there. But at that time, getting into carpentry was very, very difficult. This is in the 70s. Mm-hmm. You had to really be connected with a contractor. Contractor has to take you under his wings as an apprentice. And so you'd have to work 4 years as an apprentice before you become a journeyman.
But you get paid, right?
You're getting paid, but someone has to take that chance.
Ah, got you.
And at that time, it was very difficult.
But you built a house.
But that was long after. So what had happened was my sister was working, Maria, she was working for a contracting agency. Mm-hmm. And then she told me, there's a job out at Chevron. They're looking for someone that has a waist size of 28 inches around the waist. I was 27 inches. So I said,
that's hecka random.
My waist, it was hecka random. And she said Chevron is looking for someone with a small waist to go down inside a tank. I said I'm the person.
That would never fly in today's age.
So, but
body shaming.
But that's how
I'm 38. What's up with that?
38. You wouldn't get into the hole.
No, I'm just kidding. I just made that up. I don't even know.
But to answer your question, though, to answer your question, I never really gave that any thought to be an entrepreneur. I'm just a traditional person. I just want to get that check every 2 weeks. I know that check is coming. Mm-hmm. Rain or shine, check is coming. And that way.
Oh, yeah, because he's going to ask about the money. Well, where's the money? Where's the money?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You
selling
jewelry,
about my dad
where's the money?
Is if you borrow anything, you ask for any money or anything, he's on it. He be writing it down. Anytime I ask him for money, I'm like, Dad, let me borrow $20. He'll send it to me and put loan. That be pissing me off. Because it's like, I already know I can't not pay this back because you're going to try to take me to Judge Millian. And you didn't put loan. So now it's like, bruh, dang, why can't you just slide me the money and just, But yeah, that's awesome though. But I feel like the balance between you guys is, just created well. So just like a little financial advice, because Mom, you've done entrepreneurship. Dad, I know you haven't done it, but you have supported her financially in her endeavors and vice versa.
Oh, yes.
So when it comes to entrepreneurship and people who want to take that risk and who want to jump out and do it, what kind of advice can you give them as far as just being smart with money management? Because I feel like that's a hard thing in the hair industry. It's we get fast, quick money, and people turn around and spend it. And like you said, if you don't have a traceable income, it's very hard to build credit and all that type of stuff. Y'all, these are two people who have done very well in life, currently getting their home remodeled, So what kind of advice can you give people who want to dive into it? Dad, I guess you can give it from an investment standpoint, and Mom, from being someone who's in it,
Well, from being in it, the first thing I would say is that you have to understand your compensation plan for whatever level of entrepreneurship you're in. So if you're compensated by getting an appointment to do hair, then you need to understand how much, and you're providing the hair and you're providing the space where they go, then you need to understand how much it costs you, technically per hour to be in your space, and how much does it cost you for the materials that you need to do the hair, and many hours is it going to take you to do the hair, and what is the amount you want to be compensated per hour, and from those numbers you put together how much you want to charge for that particular style. Mm-hmm. Okay. In my case, where I have a compensation plan that's offered by a company, I have to understand what is the amount of money that I earn from each transaction that I do. Right. So in my case, I earn $2.25 off of each piece of jewelry that I sell. I buy it for $2.75. I sell it for $5. My profit is 45%. So making sure that I get that 45% and I'm not just turning it back over into buying more products, right? Because initially when I got into the business, I dumped all my money back into the business and I stocked up. Y'all know I have hella jewelry, but that's beneficial to me right now because when somebody asks me, do you have it? Pretty much the answer is yes, I do. Because I'm well stocked. You're not gonna go to Walmart or, one of these other stores and go to their shelves and they bare. But you have to make sure that that's not gonna make you financially poor by doing that, okay? So this is not money that I'm using to run my household, so it's my discretionary income. But at the same time, you have to be accountable to someone like your father who wants to know, where's the money? Right. Where's that 45%? So when you begin to really hone in on your business, now you gotta make it make sense. You gotta make sure you're making your 45%. You gotta make sure that you're not spending more than the amount that you need to invest on the $2.75 side, and you need to have trackable income. And at some point, if those two don't balance out, you gotta go back and revisit and see what it is. And so these are the areas where you guys do see me shifting, like maybe the amount of days I go live. Like last month, I tried to do a 30-day spree, right? By the way, my business is called I Got Your Bling. You can find me on Facebook under Kelly Caro. I want to give a dibs for my business so that in case your followers want to come over. Too. But I think that it's particularly important that you have a good understanding because in my compensation plan, there's also team building. I never utilized any monies from the team building part to run anything that I do in my business because I can't control what people on my team do.
Yeah.
And I'm more of a person who I perform better by myself. I'm not going to discredit my team because, yes, I'm appreciative of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that I want my team to be built of people who have the same mindset that I have. And sometimes when you start a business and there's multi-level marketing aspect to it, you don't look at that part of it. Even yourself, if you have somebody assisting you with braiding, you might not get somebody who has that same mindset that you have about braiding. It can significantly impact you and how you run your business and how you are emotionally when you have issues on that side, right? So I would say, having a good understanding of all aspects of it, hiring, how much you want to pay your people, your income and what you have available. You have to understand it takes money to make money. So you have to be able to invest in yourself. That means maybe getting your spot or, what all the tools that you need, your equipment or what have you. But then at the same time, once you start making money, you got to make sure that it's consistent.
Yeah.
So that's where I said consistency is the key. So if you want to make more, you got to do more. And also the last thing I want to say is being diversified in your business. Don't just be a person who braids hair. You need to be able to braid. You need to be able to cut. You need to be able to condition. You need to be able to style. You need to be able to make yourself available in all the areas that your customer may need in that line of service. So for me, I'm going to make sure that I have the fashion sense. I can put, something together for you. I can make recommendations for you. So when I present myself, I'm going to present myself in a fashion way. One thing that people will say when they see me, they always say, "Oh, you dress really well, for, you're a plus size person, whatever." Hey, I'm not wearing flowers, dude. That's not my style. I'm going to come at you in what makes me comfortable, but what I feel that looks good, that would make somebody else inspired to want to be that way. Right. So I think that it's important to understand how you can provide more value to your business than just the product itself.
Do you have any advice to give just seeing her go through entrepreneurship?
Oh, absolutely. Well, for me, it's a little more structured. And being an entrepreneur, there's a couple of things that's very important. The first and foremost is you have to be able to put aside some of the money that you make. Mm-hmm. So at least 10% or 15% of whatever you make should be invested in some type of investment plan. Whether you're putting the money in the bank, or you're putting it into some type of portfolio, 10 to 15% of your money. For every dollar you make, take 15 cents of that. People might say that's not much, but it's a lot. If you make $1,000, 15% of that, save that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Don't touch it. Put it away. Secondly, what's important too is the federal government taxes. So,
oh my God.
Same thing. Whatever you make, and depending on your situation, if you're single, you're looking at about a 30% tax bracket.
Yeah.
So for every dollar you make, 30% goes to Uncle Sam. Send them 30 cents. Now, you might say, well, how do I do that? Go on the website, create an account with the federal government, get online, create an account with the state of California. State of California, send them about 8% of your money. Send the feds 30%. At the end of the year, you're not stressed out because you paid the government.
Yeah, I'm traumatized by taxes. My dad tells me about taxes daily.
And also, a bonus, open up a Social Security account. Open up a Social Security.
Yes.
Pay into Social Security. A lot of entrepreneurs and self-employed people, they don't think about that.
That's
but when
right.
you hit 65, if you make it, if the good Lord allows you to make it to 65, you're eligible for Social Security. Mm-hmm. That could be $2,500 to $2,800 a month, guaranteed money. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that you have to keep into account. You can still live your life. You can enjoy life, but it has to be structured. And also as an entrepreneur, self-employer, what you want to do also is what I was going to say there. Along with that, no, that's pretty much about it. I mean,
now you see the balance.
And documentation, Breeze. Mm-hmm. Keep all your receipts. If you travel, everything's a write-off. Especially if you're entrepreneur, you get to write off a whole lot of stuff.
Yes, he taught me that.
Write it off. If you go out to lunch, write it off. It's a business transaction.
Yeah.
If you travel, airline tickets, you're going to look for hair. You're going to look at clients. You're going to meet different people.
Yes.
It's a business. So everything is a write-off. So hopefully at the end of the year, you lower your taxable income. Mm-hmm. That's the key. Mm-hmm. Bring your taxable income, or you bring your income down, which makes your taxes lower.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Have you always been good financially? Like even as a kid?
Even as a kid, even as my daddy.
When you bought your house.
My daddy taught me that.
Okay.
And here's an example here. So all my siblings and stuff, when they left home, they left and they were renting. And I said to myself, when I leave home, I'm not going to rent. I'm going to buy. Because I realize when you're renting, all you're doing is paying someone else's mortgage for them.
Right.
They're making out like a fat rat with cheese. So I said, when I leave the house, I'm going to buy. Because typically, if you buy something, the amount of money you pay on the mortgage is almost the same as you're paying for rent.
Exactly.
So you have to save your money, get that down payment up. See, that's the killer. But if you have enough for a down payment and you have the income, but you have to be able to sustain that income, meaning that a lender wants to see that you've been saving. So circling back to the saving, that's important as an entrepreneur, because a lender can see, oh, she's saving 15%. A month, they'll loan you the money and then keep your credit up. Yeah. So that's very important.
So you see the balance. Mm-hmm. That's the balance that I've been talking about. This is why our marriage is so solid, because where I'm weak, he's strong, and vice versa.
That's awesome. My dad's always been like a money guy, which is impressive. Mm-hmm. He's also just a wheeler and dealer. That's one thing that I wish I picked up on, because I don't care where we at. If he's he at a grocery store, if he's buying something off Craigslist, if he's buying a house, anything, he wheels and deals. And he always tells me, Bree, did you ask for a discount? Did you ask for this? And I'm the type, if you tell me the price is $1,500, I'm going to pay $1,500. He's like, shit, you could have got that for $1,200. So it's so funny, because when I moved into my home and I was telling my dad the price or whatever, he's like, did you try to talk it down? And I'm like, why would I talk it down? Like, they're asking for this. This is what it is. He's like, well, see, if you want to pay your money, then you be a fool, right? So flashback to like a couple years later, I'm a really great tenant. We were actually getting ready to move out and move to another place. And my landlord reached out to me and was like, oh, like, are you moving, for the price? And I was basically telling him, we found things for cheaper that are bigger or the same size. So it is something to do with the price. Do y'all know he knocked off like $500-600 off my rent? And my dad was like, I told you from the beginning you could have got that knocked off. And then I was like, damn, he is right.
Yes.
But it's like, man, I just don't have it in me. Like, I get so nervous when it comes to like asking people for like a discount or compensation. But he just how'd you get like that?
Well, the way I look at it is the worst thing that can happen, Bree, is they can say no. Okay.
But you don't be feeling bad?
Don't feel bad at all.
No, he does not feel bad.
Everything is negotiable. No. Most things are negotiable in life. Just keep that in mind. Everything's negotiable. Everything has a price, and you have to look at, the markup. You figure people mark things up because they're expecting for you, at least I think this way, they're expecting for you to knock them down. Mm-hmm. You walk into a car dealership, who in the world will pay the sticker price?
Me. Don't point at me. No,
you got some people that want to pay the sticker price.
No, it might even happen at Jeep. Like,
no, it didn't happen on that Jeep. Oh, no.
Oh, no, because my parents were there.
But I was sitting right there.
No. I can't remember what it is. Sometimes my dad will be like, they're going to say the price. You don't say nothing. Don't say you like it. Don't say nothing. We're going to go over here and we're going to come back and you're going to say this. Like, I just be feeling so bad. It's like, I don't have it in me. Like, I really am nervous. Like, I'm sweating because it's like, oh my God, like,
No.
They're gonna think I'm a cheap brokey. Like,
and don't feel bad, Bree, because everybody doesn't have that in them. It's negotiation skills. It's a skill. They don't teach you that in school.
If you want to have something in life, you better have that attitude.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you can have more than what you started with.
Exactly.
I would just rather have somebody do it for me.
No, you need to learn how to do it yourself. Because when it comes time for you to do it yourself, no, there's not going to be anybody there. You have to do it.
You be doing it?
Absolutely.
Does she do it, Dad?
No, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I am the most frugal person ever. What are you talking about?
No, you don't piss me off. My mom used to use hella coupons at the grocery store. Got us standing at the register using hella coupons. And then it doesn't work. Hold on. I have another coupon.
Yes,
I have another coupon. Like, girl.
Do you know that one time I went in, well, not more time, more than several times. And this time you were really irritated and it pissed me off because I'm at the register and I'm going out and they owe me money. Do you remember that? I had so many coupons at the store. It was at Safeway, right there on McDonald. They owe me money because I had so many coupons. And they were like, oh, well, ma'am, we can't reduce this down. You have to do. I was like, okay, well, then I purchased some gum or something. And you were like, that's hella embarrassing. We go in the store and you're arguing with coupons. That's hella embarrassing. No, it's not embarrassing. I'm trying to feed my family. I have 5 children at home and a whole husband and a house. I got to make sure I have my food. I'm using my coupons. No, and I still use them. I am very frugal to this day.
She also used to leave us at the register and say, oh, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab something. And the lady is scanning our items and she's nowhere to be found.
No, that's not true.
Yes, you have done that. And you got me hella nervous because you know I don't got no money.
Well, listen here. I'm frugal. But I find great things, nice quality. I'm not sacrificing the quality for the quantity. I'm paying the price for good stuff. A good price for good stuff. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
I don't see nothing wrong with it, but we did definitely have Fruit O's and not Fruit Loops.
No,
so
you did not have no damn Fruit O's.
We definitely
you
had
not.
off-brand cereal, but it was good though. No shade. But we definitely but we used to eat crab legs. We used to eat.
She's gonna say Fruit O's.
We used to eat good. See, me, I'm the type now. I take after my mom, but I stepped it up. I cook gourmet meals for my sons.
Please.
My mom, she used to make Alfredo, but she would use the bottle sauce.
That is not
I do
true.
mine from scratch, you know? So.
You are such a liar.
Mom, I've seen you use the bottle.
No. You saw me one time use Alfredo sauce because I don't feel like making a white sauce. Girl, what? I'm trying to hurry up and fix my food.
Suspicious.
Look, you.
My dad be cooking though. You be getting down.
See what I'm saying? See how she is? She's a daddy's girl, y'all.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I know.
Yes, you are.
We're besties.
No, we're not besties.
Dad, do I call you every single morning?
Nope.
Exactly. Who do I call every single morning on FaceTime between 8 and 9 a.m. every single morning?
Every morning.
Not every.
How many do I miss?
When you give attitude, you don't call.
That was like one time. I didn't call her for 3 days. I was on the grad.
She had an attitude.
I did have an attitude. I forgot what you did. You did something.
I didn't do anything.
You did something to me. Yeah, well.
I did something to you. You just want me to be your bestie. That's all.
Yes, bestie. So yeah, I guess that's it, y'all. Anything else you guys want to say?
Well,
So how do you feel? Give me your impression of how you feel being a mother now. 2 sons, you're married. How's that transition from being, single and now you're married with a family,
It definitely put into perspective. I feel like until you have your own kids, you don't appreciate what your parents have done. Because it's like you grow up with the expectation of what your life should be. Like just little things. Like when I went to college, I noticed that like a lot of my peers were paying for their own college. And I was like, what? My parents pay for my college? Like, what do you mean you have to work to pay for college? Or I've been in situations where I'm like, damn, like my parents was like, I'm taking care of 2. My parents are taking care of 5, 3, and then they had 2 of their nieces. And I'm just like, it just puts into perspective and it helps me gain a lot of respect for my parents and what you guys have done because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And when I think about my childhood, there's not a lot of times that I could be like, there's no times where I'm like, I went without or like I felt like we were struggling or anything.
You didn't feel bad that I didn't put you in the latest and the greatest everything that came out?
No, because like at the time, I mean, we always dressed nice. Like we weren't in designer and everything, but we always dressed nice. Like I wouldn't never say there was a time where I felt like I didn't fit in or anything like that. Like, we were always in sports, always in an activity. I really feel like I had a great childhood. So now, me being a parent, you know, just seeing like what goes on behind the scenes is like, damn, like, as a kid, I'm mad you using coupons, girl. I be on Walgreens. You know, I be texting you. I got this on Walgreens, trying to find deals. Like, shit, it's hard. It's really hard out here. Yeah. So I do have a lot of respect for you guys for that. And then not only that, you guys were able to like stay afloat and thrive and build. And you guys are wealthy now. And it's definitely my goal, because it's very easy to like stay, you know, just to be like on one level and to like be surviving, but to be thriving is the hard part. And so that's kind of, you know, where I'm trying to get at now. But
did you have, well, I want to say I'm very proud of you, because I feel like in my endeavors, you've always been a part of that, like with the gym and the cheerleaders. And I know you had to take a lot of crap off of that, because for some reason in youth sports, these parents have this misconception that people are using their funds for their own personal, you know, whatever.
Right.
And I know you had to hear that from people, and you knew what was really going on at your home, and you knew, you know, the parents that weren't financial, and you knew how we were taking from our own pot to make these things work, and it was draining us. I mean, you know, because you're just paying out the pocket, and you let something like that come to an end, and now you're thriving because you have your money for yourself. You know, you're no longer dishing it out on others' behalves. And I know for Roberto, for example, you know, he mentioned that, your brother, he mentioned that, you know, at some times he always would say, oh, the cheerleaders get more of this and that. I'm happy to know that you feel that you had a good childhood, and that you learned from that, and that you felt that it was valuable, that you saw us thriving in different ways, and giving back, because the biggest thing is giving back to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And now you see that.
I feel like for the cheer, like, that was partly, I mean, like, I know that was your dream, but that was like something I really enjoyed too. So I never really seen it as like taken away from anything, because it's like, I love cheer, and I was like, my mom has a gym, I could go in here and do my thing whenever I want to do it. I feel like you guys did a good job like pouring into us individually, and like whatever it was that we wanted to do, and just very supportive. Like, hopefully, you know, I get into a position where I could do the same for my kids, because it's hard. And the fact that y'all are doing it in California, I feel like a lot of people portray these lifestyles on social media, but the first thing I do when I see anybody who's successful, I'm like, what state they in? You're in Texas. You're not doing this shit in California. Like, it's very hard to be just like financially thriving out here. Like, everything is more expensive. Real estate, gas, anything, groceries, like everything is more expensive. So, you know, hopefully, you know, I can get like y'all, you feel me?
Will we struggle?
Or y'all can put me as a beneficiary, and we could drink a little spicy juice and wrap this up. You know?
You seriously? Wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up with nothing.
Wrap this up. You lived a full life, Dad and Mom.
Oh, come on now.
You're on a decline, so let's go. I'm kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I love y'all. I love y'all to death. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to follow the podcast at Dear Modern Stylist on Instagram, YouTube. You can find us at DOPEaxxPANA. I'm going to link my mom's social media.
Link it.
The Bling
Link
Queen.
it.
So you
Link
guys can
it.
get your $5 fix. My dad, nah, y'all not getting his Instagram. Back to back. He's not getting it. He only posts cars anyway. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks you guys for coming. I love you guys so much. And I'll catch you guys on our next episode. Say bye.
Bye.
Dang.